Welcome back. Here right now in beautiful downtown Chipley, Florida. Here right now in the gazebo at the old train station. This is a historic, picturesque town. If you got the opportunity, you want to check it out. If you're at the beach, if you're in Birmingham or Atlanta on your way to or from the beach, take 77, which is Main Street, right through downtown historic Chipley. It's worth your while. We're here right now with Robin Harr, one of the recent recipients of Distinguished Young Women of Washington County. Now, this is a very high award, actually. Robin received a very large check for her scholarship, and we're going to talk to Robin about that as we progress. You're going to want to know more about this organization, Distinguished Young Women of fill in the blank. Almost every state, almost every county has an organization. If they don't, like Washington County, they soon will have one. So pay attention to this one. I learn something in every episode of Real Florida Magazine, and hopefully you do too. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, we're here right now with Robin Harr, one of the recent recipients of Distinguished Young Women, in this case of Washington County, Florida. Thanks for taking the time. You're away at school, and we've talked for a while, gone back and forth with your mom and your parents and yourself. So thanks for taking the time and carving out the time to talk with us today.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Distinguished Young Women, the organization as a whole. Talk a little bit about the nuts and the bolts, Robin. What is Distinguished Young Women?
It is a scholarship program that is based completely around scholars. It's a way to empower women to realize that they don't have to just be this beautiful figure on a stage like a lot of pageants like to promote. There are 5 different categories that go into the program, and that is scholastics, self-expression, which is poise. There's interview, so you get to talk one-on-one with the judges, and they quiz you about current events and things about yourself and political issues that are going on in the time. There's fitness, to see how well people keep up with themselves, because it's important to keep your body in shape, and just that way when you're on the go all the time, it's just working properly. And then there's also talent, because they want their girls that are going to be representing them to show something about themselves, whether it's dramatic monologues, dancing, or singing.
Wow, and with every guest on the show, every answer opens up 10 new questions. So bear with me. I'm going to be kind of jumping around here. First of all, is the scholastic part. I know that most competitions of this ilk are based somewhat on scholastics. What kind of special emphasis does Distinguished Young Women put on that scholastic aspect? Now, is it for where they're at today? Is it their entire school career? What do they take into account?
They take into their ACT scores, and they also take into account their grades over the last 4 years, and also their extracurricular activities that they were participating in while they were getting these grades. I was lucky enough to walk out with a 3.75 from my high school and a 29 ACT score, and which is good considering all the extracurricular activities I did. So they take both into account, because that takes a lot. Just sitting there and doing schoolwork without any extracurricular activities, you could walk out with a 4.0, but not to have anything else like leadership or something is also taken into account.
Yeah, and you mentioned current affairs, basically civics. We don't teach that in school anymore, so where do you get that?
A lot of it, for me, came from my dad. My dad likes news talk radio a lot, and so most mornings on the way to school or work, we would sit there and we would talk about whatever current events, whether it was Obamacare or ISIS or whatever was going on in the Middle East. And I actually got a question about Obamacare in my interview. And I was very well educated because of my dad. And I think it's just important to read your local newspaper to find out what's going on in your community, to read like the New York Times or some conservative newspaper, so you can actually find out what's going on in the world.
How did you find out about Distinguished Young Women?
Well, my mom actually competed in the Alabama, at the time it was America's Junior Miss, but she always wanted me to be a part of it. And I was a little skeptical at first, because I at first thought it was a pageant too, and I didn't want to be a part of a pageant again. I did pageants when I was a kid, and I never really liked them then, so I didn't want to be a part of that again. I didn't want something superficial. But then my mom dragged me to Mobile for the national program, and it was not anything like I expected it to be. I actually got to meet a few of the girls, and they were very honest and sincere, and they were the kind of people that I wanted to be like when I was in their position. And I realized that it was more than just a pageant. It's a program that actually teaches women and teaches young women to empower themselves through scholastics and their talents, and using what God has blessed them with to teach other women about how to empower themselves. So when I found out about the state program, I decided that I should definitely be a part of it. And I was lucky enough to move on to state, pass the at-large program, and I was lucky enough, once again, to play second runner-up and to receive a full tuition scholarship to Troy University and $2,400 cash.
Showing on the screen right now a picture of you doing an aerial. Now, I found out that we called this an aerial because you were our guest one time at the Shipley Kiwanis Club, and I pointed out that you, I was impressed, saw one of the plays, I think it was Singing in the Rain, and had several pictures of you in midair, and I said, what do you call that? And you said, it's an aerial. So I know it's an aerial by that. But we have a picture up there right now of you doing an aerial. Was that part of your competition in the state?
It was. Actually, during the competition, I was unable to do my aerial when I was actually performing due to an injury in my foot. But I've been dancing since I was 2 years old, and I always just enjoyed flipping and like flying through the air. So I was always better at jumps and flips than I was turns or anything else. And that was part of one of my talents. So the choreographer who choreographed my solo, she wanted to put that in there because she knew how much I enjoyed it. And during Singing in the Rain, Miss Henson always wanted to showcase something like that because she also knew I enjoyed it. And one thing Miss Henson always encouraged us to do, she was also part of America's Junior Miss when it was in her time. And she wanted me to do it during Singing in the Rain and any other chance I had to do it.
Now, did you have part of the formulation or the development of the Washington County branch of Distinguished Young Women?
Well, I competed in the at-large program because at the time when I was competing, we didn't have a Washington County program.
And that's why I asked. Did you have something to do with the formulation of that new program?
Well, kind of, because my mom, she realized how strong of a like when the county programs have something, it provides a lot more support for the girls when they go to state. The girl that won our state, her name was Natalie Lawson, and she's from Okaloosa County. She had probably 40 or 50 people come to Winter Garden, which is about 6 hours away from where she lives. And there were 40 or 50 people that were cheering her on the entire time, and she had that entire county support. My mom wanted the same thing for the girls to go from Washington County and to also just promote what this program stands for.